All right, we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 804 Real Estate Live. I'm Kevin Randisi, the host of 804 Real Estate Live. I'm also the principal broker and owner of 804 Real Estate, a residential real estate brokerage here in the Central Virginia area. Tonight I have Johey Christian here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Johey is a wholesaler and a buyer for RVA Property Solutions, and he's going to talk to us about that tonight. If you've seen the other two episodes, you probably noticed a few changes to the screen. We do have a sponsor tonight. One of our own companies, RichmondMarketValue.com, is sponsoring our show tonight. RichmondMarketValue.com is a valuation service that our company offers for home sellers that are looking to sell their property. At RichmondMarketValue.com, looking to sell your home but not sure where to start by getting a free market valuation at RichmondMarketValue.com. We've got a little bit of a special tonight. If you go on to RichmondMarketValue.com and you're looking to sell your house, you fill out that form. The first one that fills out that form gets a free 804 Real Estate t-shirt. We will be sending that out shortly after tonight's broadcast.
Oh, did I get one too?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you sure did get one. I didn't wear one tonight and didn't have time to change into it. It is a little bit stormy out here tonight, so if the power gets cut off, we're sorry, but just note that it's not in our control.
You have a backup generator?
No, actually the backup generator is up the street at my house on 46 Rodman.
Yep.
We're doing a lot of work on that property right now. We just moved the electrical box, and now that house has no power, so the contractors have to use the generator.
I know that story.
So, Johey, tell us a little bit about wholesaling.
Well, wholesaling, so for those of you that don't know, wholesaling is, I often refer to it as the act of flipping a piece of paper. So in the real estate business, you can flip a house, which involves months and months of time, a lot of money, and generally a lot of mental effort on your part, and probably some frustration too. But when you wholesale a property, essentially that's when you've gone to the owner of that property and you have placed the property under contract. So you and the owner have come to an agreement about a set price that you are going to deliver to the owner. Then what you do is you take that contract and you essentially sell it or assign it to another investor or someone else that's looking to actually take on the project and do the work and you do that for an assignment fee, or it's almost like a finder's fee.
Yeah.
So essentially you are taking a piece of paper and you're flipping it to another investor for a finder's fee. And a lot of times this finder's fee can be anywhere from a couple $1,000s all the way up to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. It all depends on what you got.
The quality of the deal.
Quality of the deal and the price that you got at first, and of course the ARV of the deal. But that's I call wholesaling flipping a piece of paper. So.
Oh, absolutely. Being a good wholesaler, what does that entail? I know there's a lot of wholesalers out here, mm-hmm. and some are better at the profession than others. So what does a good wholesaler entail? But things involving like resale value,
sure.
Being accurate with that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great question. And my answer would be, there's many things I think that make up a good wholesaler. I am lucky and blessed enough to have what I feel is a unique perspective on something like this, because I both wholesale deals to other investors and I also buy deals wholesale from other wholesalers. So I can kind of see, I guess, both sides of it. And what I would say, especially from the buyer side first, what a buyer is looking for in a wholesaler is someone that when they send out, because obviously a big part about being a wholesaler is having a great big buyers list.
Oh,
qualified
absolutely.
buyers.
And then how do you go about doing that? Like getting a buyers list? Is it just like networking or
networking is the biggest thing. Networking, marketing, online stuff. Also investor groups. like you and I both know, we're both involved in Ring.
Yes,
we're both officers in
absolutely.
Ring, and we're also both involved in RIA as well. And those
Absolutely.
are two places where you can really go and build your buyers list. You go month after month, then you'll start to see some new people there. You can just get cards and build up your buyers list. So the bigger your buyers list is, the more successful I think you'll be as a wholesaler. And then as far as actually the process of wholesaling, and again, unique perspective because I buy wholesale too. I think that you need to make sure that your stuff is accurate, your ARVs and your renovation estimates and things like that. Make sure those things are accurate. It helps to have a great relationship with an agent or a broker like yourself,
Absolutely.
so I can come to you.
I try.
I can come to you and say, "Hey, Kevin, I've got this deal under contract. I need a good idea of what the ARV is so that I can market it wholesale."
You mentioned ARV.
Mhm.
Tell the viewers what ARV, what it actually means.
Sure.
Sure.
So ARV is just an acronym. It means after retail value. So essentially, what you believe the house is worth after it's been flipped, it's in perfect condition, no problems, it's turnkey, move-in ready. So if I'm wholesaling something to an investor, I'm saying, hey, after you flip this and it's perfect, I believe you'll be able to sell it for this much.
Absolutely. You mentioned before we got on the air here. Talk to us about your bird dog program that you have.
Sure, yeah. So we are, as of on or around July 15th, we're launching a new bird dog program within RVA Property Solutions. Essentially, there's a lot of people that kind of come to town and hold seminars and things like that, and they give you a lot of information about trying to be an investor or a wholesaler or a flipper. What we want to do is we want to provide.
Watch those commercials at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, 4 in the morning or on the radio. If I'm
Yes.
driving around looking at houses in the morning, I hear it on the radio all the time. But essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide more value at a less cost, or at a lesser cost than something like that. Because it's easy to pay, 10 grand all the way up to like 50 grand for some of these things. So we're looking to do something that's very, very low cost, and we're looking to give you a lot more information. So it'll be multimedia based. There'll be videos and things like that you'll have access to on a week by week basis. We're going to meet twice a month.
Awesome.
What we're going to do is we're going to go to a property that we might be flipping or might be working with, and we're going to have like a live class twice a month. And we really want to hold people's hand and really guide them and try to teach them what it is to be a good wholesaler.
Looking for.
Yeah, so that they can go out and flourish and do it on their own.
Oh, absolutely. So you said that these classes are going to be twice a month,
Mhm.
and that they're going to be actually on the property. I think that's a very good thing because there's nothing like hands-on learning,
Yeah.
especially in real estate. This business, and I can't emphasize it to the people that are just getting into the business. This is not a business that has what you could say is like an instruction manual. There are rules and regulations and things that you do have to follow, but in terms of like an instruction manual, there's not always a cut dry way that you're supposed to do it.
Everything's different, every deal's different.
Yeah, I always compare real estate kind of like taking a blender and putting in a whole bunch of things. I mean, you've got government regulations, you've got accounting, you've got finance, you've got psychology in there mixed in as well. Marketing is a big aspect. You've got to put all of these hats on in order to be successful in any type of real estate business.
It's very, very true, that's one of the reasons I love real estate is because there's so many different aspects. I really enjoy the nuts and bolts of it, and I've always been a numbers guy too. So in previous careers and things before I was a real estate agent, I really always worked with numbers. Or before, not an agent but an investor, I always worked with numbers. So I really enjoy that side of it, the nuts and bolts of it. The government regulations, Dodd-Frank, stuff like that.
I'm getting ready to deal with that out of my house. The city, I just got all my building permits for that last week, and I'm getting ready to call in inspections, and I'm hoping that everything goes well. But
I'm City of Richmond, man, it's tough.
I'm sure that I'm going to get a couple of those that will require some minor adjustments.
Yeah,
Get the CO for this place was not everything passed on a first try.
Yeah.
But we were pretty close.
Good.
I'm thankful I've got a really awesome contractor.
Yeah, and this place is awesome. He really did well. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Enjoy it. It's fun coming here every Monday night.
Yeah.
We'll get to one last thing. As far as being a buyer, what type of things do you look for when you go to these properties? Say I was to bring you a deal and I said, hey, I got property XYZ on Main Street here.
I'm asking this much for it. Come check it out.
Yeah.
So essentially what I'm looking for, so in that, if you send me an email or give me a phone call or a text, I'm looking at, you've probably also given me, hey, I think it's going to need this much in work, so you've given me probably a renovation estimate and an after repair value. So essentially I'm looking to see that those things are accurate.
Yeah.
First of all, and to kind of make sure that the deal fits within the formula that I like to use for a flip. And I also have a different formula that I like to use for our rentals and things like that.
Yeah.
We do. So I can kind of go and look at the address and see and kind of gauge whether which investing route that we want to go down if and when we purchase the property. I'm just looking to see that those things are accurate and that there's really no surprises. And really all I'm looking for is kind of the same thing that most other investors are looking for. I'm looking to be into a property 65 to 70% of after repair value after my
because that's what's the formula? Was it 70%?
Yeah, 65 to 70%, somewhere in there, preferably 65.
ARV.
After repairs.
Yes.
So the formula I use is I take the ARV and I multiply it by 0.65 to get 65% of it, and then I subtract the renovations from that.
And that's typically what you would
bid
pay for on a property that you're looking to flip.
Yep.
And typically those flip properties, it's I think you probably got to get at least 2 or 3 under your belt before.
Yeah.
It's not really like they show it on TV.
Yeah.
Where you hit a home run. I mean, you can do it on the first house.
Yeah.
But it's very, very unlikely.
Yeah, it's difficult, but that's why you got to do them. You got to learn, and really got to surround yourself with people that have done it before. And just really surround yourself with some mentors and people that are willing to help you out along the way.
You mentioned mentors. Who was your mentor?
My mentor is RVA Property Solutions owner, Rich Lennon, who has taught me basically everything I know about the investing side of it, and someone like you who's taught me everything I know about the agent side of it, the broker side of it.
Awesome.
So I'd probably say the two of you. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I think all of us being in the same office here, we bounce off a lot of good ideas off of each other.
Helps to have a couple people that are probably smarter than me in the office to help me out and stuff. So.
Oh my gosh! Hey, Rich, if you're watching tonight, this is iced tea. We're not drinking it. We're not drinking any of your beers. So don't worry.
Rich. And I'll take my check for saying that you're my mentor tomorrow.
The plug.
I'm kidding.
All right. Well, now we've had a little bit of discussion. We're going to go to the question section. And for those live viewers that haven't seen this show before, feel free to go ahead and type in your question on our Facebook page right here on the live show. We'll go ahead and we'll get to them just as quickly as we can. Let's go to the first question here. First question is from Pat Green, and she asks, what does RING stand for and how does one get involved? Do you want to take that question?
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
RING stands for
Real Estate Investors Networking Group.
Correct. So, and actually our group is Richmond RING, or the Richmond version of RING. You can get involved on meetup.com. Search for our group on meetup.com. Rich, who I mentioned earlier, is actually the president of the group. Kevin's involved in the group as a treasurer. I'm involved in the group as a secretary. So we're all involved in the group. So one of us will see it and get you squared away. Membership, it costs $60 a year or $90 for a couple, which I think is a fantastic value for the entire year.
Yeah, we typically meet at the Halligan's in Short Pump on the second Wednesday of every month. So you come there. The meetings run from 6:30 to about 8:30, 9 o'clock. We get there probably about 6:30 to 7. It gives you time to network with the investors that are at the group. And there's a real hodgepodge of a lot of people in the group. I mean, you've got investors, you've got other realtors, you've got attorneys, you've got loan officers. So you've got a real mix of people in the Richmond real estate market in that particular group. And then from 7 till about 8:30, Rich runs the meeting. And Rich is a wealth of knowledge. He's got so much knowledge, and he has a specific topic that he talks about at that particular time, and then we open the floor for questions, prizes that we give away.
Sometimes we have a guest speaker that
Yes.
might shed some light. We've had lawyers, we've had people that work for the local municipalities, Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, come out. So just really trying to provide knowledge to the investor.
And it's a large group too. I mean, you've got some of them nights that we've been there. My gosh, the room was jam packed.
Yeah.
It was going all the way back into.
It's a big room too.
Yeah, it's a big room back there, and then it was going all the way back into the actual
to the
bar
other room,
portion of Pelicans. I never saw that many people to go to ring.
Yeah.
So we've got another question.
Amit
Kukraicha, welcome Amit. And he says, what area would you recommend to look for a wholesaler property to resell? Also, are there certain attributes you look for in the house or area that make it more attractive?
Great question, Amit. I think that sort of thing is really up to the investor. Now, there are areas of town that are hot areas for investing, like North Side, the Highland Park and Barton Heights area. That's a very hot area. Lakeside, Church Hill. If you can get into Church Hill, we got a gigantic flip going on Church Hill right now. That's gonna be ready in a few months.
Yeah.
Those areas are great areas, and I think if you get something under contract wholesale in those areas, you'll have people beating down your door trying to get the property off of you. But you don't necessarily have to be in those areas, those high-profile areas, in order to make money or in order to wholesale houses. Because when you're wholesaling to another investor, you might be wholesaling them property to flip. You might be wholesaling them property that they want to use as a buy and hold or a rental. Buy and hold is a fancy way of saying a rental. You're going to buy it and hold it. You're not going to flip it or sell it anytime soon. You might be selling them a property that they're going to use to sell as maybe something like a seller finance model or a rent to own. So there's plenty of different ways that you can invest, and it all kind of depends on what is going to be the best course of action for the end investor. So we do a lot of stuff in like South Richmond, south of the river, that we found is a hot area. We've just bought 2 or 3 in that area.
Yeah.
They're doing really well. Some rentals, one is a flip. So that's a good area. It all kind of depends.
You know, the hot areas that we're seeing right now in terms of flipping activity are areas like Highland Park.
Yeah.
Is
Very
a
hot.
huge area where people are moving to.
A lot of gentrification in that area
Yeah,
happening.
I think what's happened with the market is like the whole Richmond market is that people are getting priced out. Like Church Hill was a market many years ago that was affordable, but then prices started going up, and people got priced out of Church Hill, so they moved from Church Hill into Battery Park. I had a lot of agents whenever we had property in Battery Park that would call me and say, well, my buyers were looking at Church Hill, they got priced out of Church Hill, now they're coming into Battery Park.
That's exactly what's happening.
Well, Battery Park, I remember the first house that one of my investors' clients did as a flip. It was on Griffin Avenue. And
Great street.
It was right near the park. It was right by the terrace and on Griffin.
Beautiful views over there too.
Yeah, and it ended up that one ended up selling for $175,000.
Wow.
Now that same house, 3 years later, the owner occupant I think took it, and he ended up selling it for $240,000.
Yeah.
But the values in the Battery Park areas have skyrocketed, and as a result, people have been priced out of the Battery Park area and now are going into Highland Park.
Yep.
So we're seeing that trend, and it's kind of like all over the city. A lot of areas in Richmond are very, very hot. Richmond was just recently mentioned as the number 2 area that millennials, the age group from 25 to 34, are flocking into.
Yep.
So every area of Richmond is really doing very, very well. Henrico is doing very well. Hanover is doing extremely well. Chesterfield's doing extremely well.
Yeah. I grew up in Chesterfield.
And
And obviously, you know, the part of Chesterfield I grew up in has always been, I guess, a desirable area to live in. So I grew up in the Lake or Western Chesterfield area. But now what I see is another hot area is the northern part of Chesterfield.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the part of Chesterfield that used to belong to the city.
Yeah.
Those parts of Chesterfield are now starting to become really, really hot areas as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of Chesterfield, this property we're here tonight at our office was actually in Chesterfield County on one side.
Yeah, yep.
For inspection purposes, we might wish that it was in Chesterfield. So, let's see. We have got some good questions here. Keep those questions coming, everybody. Keep asking those questions. Don't be shy. We're going to be here for quite a while. Mike Randisi, welcome, Mike, to the show. He says, how do you get the logos to show up in your video like that? Well,
I think it's awesome. That's a great touch.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I tell you what you do. You have this awesome brother of yours. You call him up on a Sunday afternoon.
Say, Mike, how do I do this?
And you say, hey, Mike, I'm stuck. Help me out. And what he does is you log on to TeamViewer, and he logs on to TeamViewer, he takes over your computer, and he makes it happen. So say thanks to Mike, because these awesome logos are on here tonight because of my brother.
Thanks, Mike. They look really good.
I mean, if it was me trying to figure this on out, I'd have thrown that Surface probably. Mike had just got out the window. So. All right. We got another question from Amit. He asks, what source do you use to look for wholesale properties? Is it the MLS, or is there somewhere else that is catered more towards wholesale properties? I can kind of answer this question.
Sure, you go.
Here. Not so much on the MLS. The MLS is typically for either traditional sales or REO sales or estate sales or whatnot. Wholesaling actually on the MLS is illegal. You actually have to be the physical owner of the property in order to put the house into the MLS. What you do to find these wholesale properties is pretty much hook up with a wholesaler. A wholesaler you can get onto a buyer's list.
Get onto Mini, as I would suggest, as a buyer.
And the way you would go about doing that is coming to like a meeting like Richmond Ring or Richmond RIA. There's lots of wholesalers that are there that will pass out their cards and then give them to you, and then you can. I also recommend partnering up with a good realtor in that case so that you can check the ARVs and the calculations that the wholesalers are giving you, because if they are wholesaling the property, they do have a special interest into selling the property. So you want to make sure that there is a checks and balances before going through the detail. And then obviously with any type of real estate transaction, you're going to want to make sure that you have an extremely good team.
I agree.
Like a good set of contractors, a good set of inspectors, and a good strong settlement attorney helps you on out too.
Yes.
Because with some of these properties, there are legal issues that end up, and your attorney can help iron all those on out.
Yes, I agree.
Any additional sources that we can get from we can get hooked up with wholesalers? I know it's late in the evening.
You mentioned Ring, you mentioned RIA as well. I think if you go online and go places like Craigslist or even stuff like Bigger Pockets and the real estate themed places online, you can really find people that have deals that they're looking to wholesale. Because if you want a deal, the deals are out there.
Yeah,
they're out there and they can be found. And a lot of times they're trying to find you, but it might take a little bit of work on your part if you're looking to buy something wholesale as well. As far as being a wholesaler and finding properties to wholesale to other people, that all starts with a really good marketing plan. A lot of direct mail marketing really helps. Driving for dollars, even the old school, kind of old-fashioned way of getting it done.
Talk about driving for dollars for a second. What is driving for dollars?
Driving for dollars is when you by yourself or you and your team I frequently do this with some of my bird dogs now. We go and we canvass the neighborhood and we take a look and we try to find anything that might be vacant or anything that looks like it might be in any sort of disrepair, anything like that. And we take down some information and we try to knock on the door, leave some information about ourselves, and we also try to come back to our offices and then we do some research to try to find the owner of those properties at that point, because I think that if you're as a person that's trying to wholesale, get deals to sell wholesale, if you're going the extra mile, the more work you do towards that point, the lesser and lesser is going to be the company that you're going to be in. So some people just stop when they can't find the information. The more work you do to find it, the less people are doing that type of work as well.
Remember that one property that we went to scout out when we were looking for the owners of the property?
yeah.
Across the street from us.
So some of these meetings are a little crazier than you may anticipate. So just be ready for anything.
So give me a quick synopsis on the story. We were trying to find the owner of this property that is on the same street as our office.
Right. And, so names have been changed to protect the innocent. So we found the owner. Let's call her Jenny. And we knocked on her door, and we started talking.
We were scared to knock on the door.
Yeah.
Because it had all these signs, like we found her address.
About the dog and stuff. They didn't have like a beware of dog sign, so it's like you got to kind of cross your fingers. And we'll call the owner Jenny, and we open the door, and Kevin and I start talking to her about wanting a house that we know that she owns, and she didn't know she owned it. I got to admit, that happened a couple months ago. That was a first for me. To where you knocked on somebody's door and said, "Hey, I'm interested in your other property at such and such an address," and that person's like, "I still own that property." that was a first for me.
Absolutely. That was. Yeah.
Didn't know she owned it.
We made it out of there alive.
Thankfully.
So some of those properties, as far as like driving for dollars, can be fun things. I mean, telltale signs to look for in terms of things like for driving for dollars: tall grass.
Yeah, tall grass.
Boarded windows.
Yeah, boarded up windows. Just a house that kind of generally looks like it's in disrepair. And there's a lot of mail that's been piled up in that mailbox as well. Newspapers piling up on the front stoop. These things let you know that like this house is not being very well taken care of. And typically, a lot of those times, if you can get in contact with the owner, a lot of those times the owner is really excited to meet you because that property, it seems like that property is really more of a burden to them than something positive or an investment than something that brings them money. Because if they're doing what they're supposed to, they're still paying property taxes on that property and it's sitting there doing nothing for them. So on a year-over-year basis, that property is losing them money instead of making them money.
Absolutely.
So, change that.
Yeah, I mean, the taxes can be expensive.
Yeah.
And any type of general upkeep, especially if you have the city come cut your grass.
Come cut your grass. They charge you, a couple $100 per?
I think it was $250.
$250, something like that per if they have to come out and cut your grass because it's too long. And that is a code violation if you're in the city. And most of these municipalities, tall grass is a code violation. So they cite you, they cut your grass, and they also cite you.
Yeah, they're not competitive with the local law.
They're not very competitive.
You can get a cut cheaper.
much cheaper
through the private sector. Exactly. Let's see. We've got a question from Pat Green. Are there tax advantages that can be found on historical properties, and how do you find them? Are they worth the investment?
There are tax advantages that can be found on historical properties. It all kind of depends on where the property is, whether it is on there are a couple different registries. There's a national registry, and then there's local historical property registries. You kind of have to muddle through those things first. That information is all online. So if you're looking at a property that you think might be in one of these spaces, go check it out online, and you'll be able to figure out if it is. And some of these places come with a little bit more legwork that you have to do in order to make sure that you're abiding by the rules, because you always want to try your best to do everything above board and do everything by the book as well. But there can be historical tax credits and things like that, tax abatements and things like that as well. So
and not to mention with the historical tax credits too. You do have to bring the historical integrity of the property back to life.
Yes.
In many cases, it has to do with certain things like windows, from what I understand.
Correct. And the casings of the windows.
Yes.
They a lot of times they really don't want you to especially on the first level, if it's a 2-story house, a lot of times they don't want you to change the floor plan of that level, which is sometimes tough to deal with. It's nice to keep the history of the house, but a lot of the houses, like the stuff in Northside, some of that stuff is in historical areas, and the first thing you want to do when you go in there as an investor, as a flipper, is you want to knock down every wall and get this great big open concept room, and kind of like what you see on HGTV and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want to do. And sometimes
the city doesn't
the city hinders that sort of thing. So it's all about kind of trying to work together with them to get to a mutually agreeable point for your flip.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then there's also things like tax abatements too, where the city will abate the value of your property. You can get taxed on a much lower portion of the value of your property, and that usually holds for 10, 15 years at a time. And that can be a huge selling point when you go to resell a flipped property.
Correct, yeah. So things like in Northside, there's things in Northside selling for $250,000, $300,000.
That are like taxed on $20,000.
Exactly.
or 40 or 50,000.
50 or 100,000.
Yeah.
So tax on that before value.
Yeah.
So that's a big selling point.
Yeah, and it saves buyers hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month.
Absolutely.
It saves them potentially thousands of dollars in tax.
Yeah. Think about it, if you got two houses that you like equally, you're going to pay more in taxes than one. You're going to go with the other one, right?
Absolutely. You see, Marcia and Joanna have joined. Welcome you all to
Joanna,
the show.
shout out to Joanna. What's up, Joanna?
Absolutely. Another question from Amit. And Amit asks, is there a specific price point that you would say is a sweet spot for purchasing wholesale homes? Go ahead, Joey.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I like to say that my sweet spot is somewhere from $60,000 to $100,000, but the property that we're doing, the big flip that I mentioned earlier that we're doing in Church Hill, is a property that I purchased wholesale, and it was very much in excess of $100,000.
Yeah.
So it all really, again, kind of depends on the deal. I hate that I'm saying that so much, but it really depends on the deal.
Yeah.
I like those deals that are from, I'll say more like 40 to like $80,000. Those little 3 1s and 3 1.5s and maybe 3 2s, from 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. I love those, especially if they're brick. I'll buy those all day, every day. They're usually very simple to flip. A lot of those are usually built in the 70s and 80s onward, and those they're great projects. They're easy projects. They bring in rental income, and also they're easy to sell as far as flip income as well.
And that's what we're seeing a lot of too. Is that a lot of people, a lot of the millennial generation is wanting to move into smaller houses, specifically for their first house. The generation that wants to get out and do more things.
Yeah. They want to be outside the house more.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I've seen. Surprisingly, like 2-bedroom, 1-bath houses are
still
selling.
They're still selling. They're still selling. Historically, those have been difficult to sell.
Oh, absolutely.
But now I think you're seeing an uptick in folks that don't really feel like they need a lot of house.
Yeah.
So.
I like having a small house. It's very easy to clean. It's tough, tough for me to keep it clean. I would, it's very tough to keep any type of house that I have clean, especially if you're doing construction.
Yeah.
The one question that I have for you, while I'm thinking about it now, and keep those questions coming.
Yes.
Is terms. When you buy a house on terms, what does that mean to somebody that doesn't know what terms mean?
Sure.
And what type of individual would want to go accept something on terms? I know we talked about this a little bit in the first episode with Charity.
Okay.
So, but
I think that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. And so terms is something I'm always looking for in a deal. And what that means is that when you buy something on terms, it's just kind of It's more like an alternative terms as far or in comparison to, hey, I'm gonna pay you this much for the house. We're gonna close in 2-3 weeks or a month, and then you're gonna get this much in cash. That's kind of your standard sort of thing. When you buy something on terms, excuse me, essentially what you're looking for is the owner to sell or finance you the house. So a couple things need to happen. Usually the owner would need to own the house outright, so they probably shouldn't have any mortgages or notes or liens on the house or secured by the house. And then essentially because you can buy a house, you don't have to pay all cash for a house all the time. You can buy a house and you could offer someone, say, hey, I'll pay you, if you want to pay them, $20,000 for a house, you can offer them $500 a month until that money is satisfied.
Absolutely.
Right? And you can negotiate things such as interest rate, when your first payment is due. You can negotiate pretty much every aspect of that contract. And where this comes in handy, especially, is with rentals. So if you've got a house that you believe that you can put a little bit of money into, and you can rent it for $1,100 or $1,200, if you can get that house on terms for around $500 a month, that is a good deal. Anytime, all day, every day, that's a good deal. So I think that a lot of times buying a house on terms will unlock the deal to the point where if you didn't buy it on terms, it might not be a deal.
Yeah.
And if you do buy it on terms, all of a sudden it's a great deal. That's how powerful I believe terms are.
Absolutely, because if you're going out there and buying an investment property, especially if you own a primary residence, buying an investment property, in many cases, you have to put 20% down to get a conventional mortgage.
Even a hard money loan, if you're an investor, you have to put, a lot of times 15, 20, 30% down.
Absolutely, and the terms are not as favorable, and whatnot. So I think terms can actually help any investors succeed, especially if you're doing something like a long-term flip, or you're trying to do something where you buy it and hold it for a long time, and then you're possibly maybe in a couple of years able to refinance it down the road.
Correct.
And
almost any house I see that is paid for, so they don't have a mortgage, I'm trying to get it on terms before I'm offering a cash price. And sometimes, depending on the terms and what you want to use it for, sometimes you can actually offer the owner of that house more money if they take it on terms.
Yeah.
And that works out for everybody, because in the end they get more money, and then you get the terms that you really like to really use it for what you want.
Absolutely.
Because when you're buying a property, when you're investing, you're buying a property anyway. If you're getting a hard money loan or a private money loan, a lot of times you're getting a loan, not necessarily from a bank, but you're getting a loan for that property. So you still have a money cost. It all comes down to what the money cost is per month.
Yeah,
so a lot of times with terms you get better money costs than you can with a lender.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Welcome back, Patrick Devlin.
Hey Patrick, what's up, man?
He asked a really good question. He said, in this hot market, how often do you see a house on MLS that you think is a good deal for an investor?
That's a good question. I know, Patrick. That's a really good question, Patrick. I think that these days there are a good number of good deals that pop up on MLS.
Yeah.
What I find, and I think you might agree with me on this, what I find often is that it pops up on MLS right around the right number, and you say, great, this is a great property, and you ask your broker, in my case, Kevin, I asked Kevin, hey Kevin, can we go take a look at this house? Can you get me in this house? Kevin takes me there. We're there. There's 3 or 4 other investors at the house at the same time, and eventually it goes for 20% over what is a good price or makes it a good deal. So that happens a lot to us.
Absolutely. You get to these houses and you've got a line of cars out outside. There are 3 or 4 people already there waiting at the property, and then you've got 3 or 4 more that are coming to the property, and one already on the inside, and then the one on the inside is taking 15-20 minutes to look at it, and afterwards another 15 or 20 minute discussion with their realtor on the front porch. And you're just like, oh my God.
A lot of times we put in a bid that we feel is a competitive bid. Maybe it's asking price, maybe it's a little over asking price. And then what happens is, you get a call for, hey, highest and best, and then it ends up going for more than Kevin and I might feel is a good
yeah.
deal. So as much as we want these houses, we don't want to do a bad deal.
And I think Joey brings up an excellent point when you go to look at these houses, specifically in the MLS, that what somebody else bids on a property might not work for you. Somebody that's a Class A contractor that has their realtor's license and has a crew, a contractor's crew, and is using their own money, is likely able to bid more for a house, and they might be bidding more for a house for specific reasons. For instance, they might see a great deal on the MLS and say, well, I'm not going to make any money off of this deal, but I want to keep my contractors busy for the next 2 or 3 months so that I don't lose them. So we'll put in this astronomical bid, get the house, okay, maybe not make money after everything's all said and done, or make very, very low margin on it after it's all said and done, but in the end, they're able to keep their contractors busy, and then they can move on to other projects that are more economically feasible. And you can't really get caught up in that.
Sure, yeah, because that is bad news to kind of get caught up with that as an investor. You got to stay true to what your numbers are, but you know that your margins are. A lot of times, that person, that buyer that you described, can get the job done cheaper than an investor.
Absolutely.
Because I don't lift the hammer. You know?
Yeah.
So it's gonna inherently cost me a little bit more money than someone who's gonna buy it, be the investor, and be the renovation expert and the Class A contractor and that stuff too. He can pay more to the point where, let's say, if we both need to be in it for $150,000, and I can only pay $80,000 for the property, he might be able to pay $100,000 for the property, and we can both be in it, or he could still be in it for $150,000 because he's the guy that's swinging the hammer, and inherently you save money that way.
And then selling the house as a realtor.
He's the 3-in-1. He's wearing 3 hats. Investor, contractor, realtor.
All right.
Good question, Patrick.
Absolutely. And we got another question from Amit, and he asks, could you summarize how someone that's interested in investing in wholesale properties gets started? So how can somebody get started in the wholesaling business?
Well, I would suggest, we mentioned it earlier, become a member of Ring and of RIA. Especially RIA, because RIA focuses a lot on deal flow, sharing deals, and teaching how to wholesale. And then Ring focuses more on a little bit more, I guess, some more advanced investment strategies, but there's still a very strong presence of wholesalers there. So both meetings and both groups, I think, are extremely helpful. Find someone that has done it before, learn from them. For instance, you could come to me and come to my bird dog classes that I'm launching next month, and really learn how to become a good wholesaler. Everything from marketing for the properties all the way through to getting them under contract and trying to sell them wholesale. So I teach all of that, and I do it now, and I will continue to do it in our revamped program starting July 15th. So I put in a comment earlier, I put my email address. So if you're interested in that, Amit, please give me a shout and email me and let me know, and we'll get you set up.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that I'd just like to add to this, as far as being like a wholesaler, reputation is everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you do have wholesalers out there that have kind of tarnished their reputation.
Sure. And to a degree, kind of tarnish the idea of wholesaling. To a degree.
Yeah, because they give you low repair costs.
Right.
And actually, when you dig into it, it's going to cost a lot more to repair.
Right.
And the ARV is higher, but when you go to sell it, it's not really that. And somebody that buys that deal ends up, the numbers look good on paper initially, and that's why you need to have your own checks and balances,
Sure.
your own realtor, and your own contractors and whatnot to look into these things to make sure that the numbers that you're getting fed are the correct numbers.
Absolutely. And if you're a wholesaler and you find the type of person, find the type of buyer you want to market to, and become their friend. Take them out for a cup of coffee or take them out for lunch and pick their brain about exactly what they're looking for. Get their formulas, get their repair costs and things like that, so that you are equipped with every single tool that you need in order to deliver to them a deal or a property that you know they're going to be extremely interested in. That's absolutely what helped me when I first started out.
Yeah, that box line.
Yeah, that's absolutely what helped me when I first started out was befriending the buyers that I wanted and really learning what they were looking for. And as a buyer, again, serve into the people that you want to bring you deals, because as a buyer, I don't think you can complain about the quality of deals that you're getting from wholesalers if you're not taking at least a little tiny bit of time and sitting them down and really teaching them what you want. Because again, I have a unique perspective here because I buy wholesale and I sell wholesale. So I have a unique perspective and I kind of understand both sides of it. But there are a lot of wholesalers out there that have never flipped a property. They've never been on the buying side of it. And so while their intentions are good, they just don't have the knowledge base that they need in order to deliver good wholesale deals to people. So as a buyer, really spend some time and serve into the people that are sending you wholesale deals, and I promise you it will pay off. And if you're me, you'll gain some really, really good quality friends in the process too.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're a good wholesaler, you want your clients to succeed in their deals.
Correct.
You definitely don't want them to fail, because then your buyer's list is going to be much
Correct.
smaller.
Yeah. You don't want to wholesale someone and then not care, wholesale property to someone and then not care how they do with it. You want them to do as well as possible, because then they're going to come back to you for wholesale deals, and they're going to be the first people to check out your deals.
Yeah, because they're going to say, hey, Joey knows what he's talking about when he says, because I've already done 2 deals and I've done pretty good.
Right.
So, see, Jimmy has joined. Thank you, Jimmy, for joining our show tonight. Any last final words for tonight's discussion here? I think we've covered a lot.
I think so.
Ask the audience there. This is the 3rd episode that we've done of this show. Give us some feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the first 2 were really, with Tony last week and then Charity
the week
before that.
Yeah.
I thought it was very good. Charity left a copy of her book here that I'm currently reading, and it is excellent.
Absolutely. Charity's awesome. She was one of the first people that I worked with when I decided to divulge into real estate on my own. It was back in 2011, and I just left my accounting job at U.S. Silica, and I divulged into real estate. Many sleepless nights. I went to bed maybe 12, 1 o'clock at night, woke up cold sweat about 5 in the morning. And you get into real estate, it's one of those things that you're, it's you eat what you kill.
Yeah,
in a sense,
absolutely.
if you, not to put it in that particular sense, but
you don't work, you don't make money.
Yeah, you don't work, you don't make money.
Simple as that. Chris Jefferson joined. Shout out to Chris Jefferson.
Yes, absolutely.
The guy to know in Northside Churchill.
Chris, one of these days we'd like to get you.
Absolutely.
On the show. So, we got. Pat Green left us another comment. She said, "You all make this sound so easy. What is the first step for an amateur to take to get to your level?"
I would say knowledge of getting around people that know what they're talking about. So ring RIA, and then just befriend people and ask them questions. Most of the people in those groups and most of the community around here of investors and seasoned investors are very friendly. And if you got a couple questions for them, they'll help you out and answer it as well. And Pat, again, I hate to be plugging my own stuff, but please email me and check my comment, email me, and get signed up for my bird dog class.
You can plug your bird dog class all you want.
Thank you.
Free advertising.
Free, yeah.
RichmondMarketValue.com got some free advertising.
Yeah. I think RichmondMarketValue.com is a really cool thing, because you can't just trust like Zillow or Trulia or anything like that to give you. You want the best information. I think comes from a person like yourself, a broker who is experienced in that particular area. If you ask Kevin about Woodbridge, he's going to say, well, I don't really know, But if you ask Kevin about Richmond, he knows exactly what he's talking about. And you don't necessarily get that from, an app on the phone.
Absolutely. There's so many dated things on sites like Zillow, because most people don't know that Zillow pulls that information. It pulls it from the MLS, but it also pulls it from like the tax records.
Right.
And many people don't know that like the tax records aren't updated for things like central heat and air.
Yep.
So Zillow might be calculating your value of your house based off of an oil heat.
Mm-hmm.
And the city might have drove, or the city or the county might have drove by your house and rated your house a poor.
Yeah.
And Zillow's calculating your value based off
Based
of that.
on the poor rating or fair for age or poor for age or average for age. And then you've done some repairs and stuff, and Zillow is the last entity to kind of get that information. So
Absolutely. Welcome, Cassie Coleman, to the show. Amit with another question. Amit says, as wholesale agent, what do they get out of it just out of curiosity? Is it the same percentage as a real estate agent, or how does that work?
Okay. Well, I like to shy away from the term agent because I don't want to misrepresent myself. So I'm a wholesaler. I'm an investor.
Yeah.
Kevin is an agent. Actually,
Yeah.
Kevin is a broker,
Yeah.
which means he owns his own brokerage, which we are sitting inside of right now. When you wholesale properties, really what you get out of it is two things. You get an assignment fee. So it's essentially like a finder's fee. It's the price that you sell that contract on to another investor for. And you can get anywhere from a couple $1,000s all the way up to, we've done deals, you can get tens of thousands of dollars in those deals. It all kind of depends on how good the deal that you have is and how well that it is priced. And the other thing that you get when you wholesale a property, if you do it right, then you get credibility. You build credibility with your brand and your name. And that is probably, to me, that's just as important as the financial gain or the money that you make out of it, is letting people know that A, you're knowledgeable, and then B, you have integrity and you're really trying to get good quality deals out there to other investors.
Absolutely. I think you touched on the two key points there. One, you have a monetary gain, and two, you have a reputation.
Your reputation, your name, that's really all you got,
And then I'm going to ask, who dictates the fees?
So when you market a property for wholesale...
welcome, Sean.
Welcome, Sean. When you market a property for wholesale, essentially you are setting the price. And it's something that I would suggest as a person who's done this a couple times, just don't do it flippantly. Really look at the amount of repairs and the ARV and really get someone like Kevin's help. If you're not a real estate agent or a broker yourself, get someone like Kevin's help and really nail down what you believe is a very strong and accurate ARV and really price it from there, And so basically what you're doing is you're asking price. If you've got a property that you have under contract for $50,000 and you're marketing it for $60,000, that means you're trying to get a $10,000 wholesale fee. That may happen, that may not happen. Maybe you sell it for $55,000 and you get a $5,000 wholesale fee. It all kind of depends on the deal and how good the deal is. But really, you dictate the asking price when you're selling a property wholesale. And then just like in everything else real estate, there is a negotiation period when you land upon a buyer that would like to buy your property wholesale from you.
Absolutely. Good response there. We have gone on for 51 minutes.
Have we really?
Yeah, these shows get more and more fun. I tell you,
I've had a great time.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah, man.
I tell you, the first, I was telling you before we got onto the air, the first show I did, we were actually going to do this show taped and put it on YouTube, but we decided to just go ahead and do it Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I think it's much better to going live.
And you save yourself hours of editing too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It saves a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot more fun too.
Yeah. This is fun.
Live with the audience too.
This is really cool. Interacting with the questions. I think that's really awesome.
And then we got one more question from Amit here. He says, so correct me if I'm wrong, does a wholesale agent sell to a wholesale investor? Then the wholesale investor sells to another investor, or who flips or rents the house out?
Ooh, so what you're describing is like a double wholesale? I haven't seen one of those in a while. Usually, no, it can happen, but usually, no. A wholesaler is selling to an investor that wants to be the investor that buys the property. So there's typically only one assignment going on. I've seen it in the past where people have double wholesale things or double assigned things, and it creates problems. So if you're a wholesaler, your aim needs to be to sell to an investor, and that investor wants to flip the property or keep it as rental or otherwise invest in the property. But that's kind of that one step away is really as far as you want to go, in my opinion.
Awesome response. And once again, Joey has left his information there on the comments, and we'll go ahead and we'll post it live on our show there. We're going to go ahead, we're going to wrap up tonight. Please give us some feedback. And again, go to richmondmarketvalue.com if you're looking to sell your house, because if you're not sure, if you're looking to sell your house and you're not sure where to start, you want to start by getting yourself a free market valuation. We'll be back here this coming Monday night, 7 p.m., same time, same channel. Again, leave us some feedback. Let us know how we did, what things you liked, what things you thought we could improve upon.
If I talk too much.
No. I think it was all really good. I give a shout out to another great show, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sign off for tonight.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your questions.
Good night. We'll see you next Monday night.